The answer is hell no. A matter of fact, if I'm the National Football League, you know what I do to Antonio Brown? Go ahead and leave. Go ahead and retire. All that noise you made to get out of Pittsburgh, to collect $30 million, now you're going to forfeit it. You don't need football. It doesn't need you. Don't need football. Bye. See you when I see you. Goodbye. This is some nonsensical stuff. It really, really rakes my nerves. First of all, just to get the facts out of the way, I took the liberty of going online, Will Cain, and also calling both the Players Association and the league office. First of all, do you understand that there's about 30 different football helmet options that Antonio Brown has available to him? It's almost like 20 to 25,
that he could
30.
choose right now, the new mandated one.
That he could choose. There's an advancement. We've evolved. Of course, the National Football League has evolved. Technology has evolved. It's elevated. The helmet that he was wearing in college, the helmet that he's been wearing over the last few years, it's no longer mandated by the NFL. It's no longer acceptable. They gave you several options. Not only have they given him several options, spanning more than 20, potentially 30. But do you know they've had this notice to the NFL players inside NFL locker rooms for the last 5 years? I confirmed that this morning. For 5 years, they said, it's coming. Here's what we're going to do. Capitulate, because that's what you're going to do. What does Antonio Brown do? You pick now. You're the new team. You're the supposed leader. You made $30 million. They gave it to you. They gave up picks to acquire you, not a first rounder, but they gave up picks to acquire you. And this is the kind of nonsense that you find yourself in. I'm going to say something to people out there, and I want everybody to understand this. What Antonio Brown is doing is so egregious in this sense. It's so selfish, it's so petty, it's so childish. And here is the reason why, more than anything else. By doing this, you put the players in yet another precarious position. If I'm an owner, other than your talent, the number one thing I need from you is to know you're trustworthy. That you ain't gonna act like an idiot, that you're not gonna sit up there and veer away from what is professionalism. You're not going to violate your commitment. You're not going to do any of those things. And when you act up like this, they're sitting back saying, see why we have a problem giving these brothers some money? See, that this is the kind of stuff, because ultimately you're going to have these problems. It's not always justified, of course. Yeah. And we know what the owners do well. But the bottom line is, Antonio Brown looks like a damn fool with this whole scenario. You will not win. You will not get what you want. The NFL will not capitulate. They shouldn't. You knew 5 years in advance this was coming down the pike. The NFL owes you nothing. The players, I've spoken to several players who are very embarrassed by his position in all of this. He should be ashamed of his damn self the way he's acting.
No doubt. No doubt. However, should Antonio Brown be allowed to wear his old helmet? Stephen A., the answer is yes.
How?
Now, you're caught up in how he's going about his business. And I don't disagree with you. Antonio Brown's a headache. Antonio Brown is a head case. Antonio Brown is a problem that the Oakland Raiders should have seen coming from a mile away. But as far as Antonio Brown's head and its protection on the football field, I'm okay leaving that up to Antonio Brown. Here's what I mean. I understand what you're saying 100% about how he's handling his business, him holding out, missing all but one practice when it comes to training camp. And that, by the way, is only a continuation of the story we saw in Pittsburgh last year when he held out the last week of practice and missed a pivotal Week 17 in the NFL. Antonio Brown, no surprise, has been a problem. But ultimately, he wants to wear a 10-year-old helmet. You're right. It's no longer up to league standards. But I believe this is where we are in the league at this point.
Okay.
Everybody knows the issues. Everybody knows the risks you run with concussions. Everybody knows the risk you run with CTE. Awareness is out there. Nobody should be caught by surprise, and everybody is playing this game with full knowledge of what is involved with it.
Okay.
I am of the belief, and you and I have had this debate on a couple of different issues. For example, when it comes to whether or not players should be able to use marijuana. I am of the belief once you make people aware of the risks involved in their choices, then you cannot stop them from making choices that may not be the best for them. Make them aware and then allow them to make their choices. Antonio Brown wants to play with an old helmet. Give him a waiver. Give him an exemption, NFL. Allow him, the arbitrator is hearing this case today. Allow him, with full knowledge of the choices that he is making, allow him to make what is, in your estimation and my estimation, a bad choice. Right. It's how you got to work.
Well, first of all, I think you're flagrantly wrong on this matter. But before I go even further, we will have a discussion at some point in time about that shirt, that absence of a tie, that weak collar that you have on there, whatever. I'm just saying. It could be a little bit more crisp.
Are you deflecting because that argument he just gave?
I think so. I think so.
Right now? Do you feel like he just got you?
Playing a little game of three-card Monty at the table. Look over here.
First of all, I am never fazed by anything that Will, Max, or anybody else says on this show. I'm the man, number one. Number two, next time you want to insert yourself in the debate, give me a heads up. I'll be ready for that. Number three, let me get back to you, Will Cain. I'm going to tell you why you're flagrantly wrong on this one. Because of people like you. If they sat up there and granted that waiver, and then all of a sudden you had cats showing up on a National Football League field and they're getting themselves hurt, and all of a sudden they're more susceptible than ever to concussion protocol and things of that nature, you'd lose your mind. You say, who gives a damn about what these players want? You have advanced technology. This is what it says. These helmets are safer. You want to play in this league? It's our league, not yours. Capitulate. That's what you would be saying. So all of a sudden, now you're going to sit up here and tell me that, oh, okay, if you're willing to sign a waiver, you'd let the NFL off the hook if they capitulated to a whole bunch of people who suddenly decided to take that position, and all of a sudden they found themselves in more danger than less because of that capitulation? You know better than that. I know better than that. We would not let that slide. That would not give us a license to let the NFL off the hook for capitulating to those requests.
There's a difference between we and me. You're no doubt right that the media would do that. The general,
I think you would.
The general consensus would be, why are you allowing somebody to make a dangerous decision? I wouldn't be that way.
I'm being clear. I'm accusing you, Will Cain.
You think I would sit up here and say, how dare you grant this exemption? How dare you grant this waiver?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I said I think that you would sit up there, and in the event that a player, they capitulated to that request, and a player went on the field and got himself hurt, and somebody could make a connection to him not utilizing what the NFL mandated, you'd call the NFL on the carpet for not enforcing their own rules. That wouldn't be Will Cain?
No, that would not be Will Cain.
Come on, Will. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.